For most of human history, being alone was one of the most dangerous things a person could be. Today, loneliness feels like an emotion, an uncomfortable feeling, a quiet ache. Something many people try to avoid. But thousands of years ago, loneliness was much more than that. It was often a matter of survival. Modern humans sometimes imagine independence as strength. The ability to rely on nobody, to stand completely alone. Yet the human species was never built that way. Deep inside the human brain is a system shaped by millions of years of living alongside other people. A system that still expects companionship, cooperation, and belonging. And perhaps that is why loneliness can feel so powerful. Because somewhere beneath modern life, part of the brain still treats isolation as a warning signal. To understand why, we have to travel back to a world long before cities, governments, or civilization existed. A world where the most dangerous place was often outside the tribe. 30,000 years ago, a single human alone in the wilderness faced overwhelming odds. There were no hospitals, no police, no supermarkets. No emergency services, no safe place to call for help. Finding food was difficult enough for an entire group. Alone, it became far more dangerous. Hunting large animals required cooperation. Gathering resources required shared knowledge. Defending against predators often required many eyes watching at once. A solitary human was vulnerable, not because they were weak, but because humans evolved to survive together. The tribe provided protection, the tribe shared food, the tribe cared for children. The tribe passed on knowledge. In many ways, the tribe was not simply a social group, it was a survival machine. And being separated from it could mean facing a world that suddenly became much harder to survive. That ancient reality left a mark on the human mind that still exists today. Humans did not become the dominant species on Earth because they were the strongest. They were not. A chimpanzee is stronger, a bear is stronger. Even many predators could easily overpower a human in a direct fight. What humans possessed was something different, the ability to cooperate, to share resources, to protect one another. To trust strangers who belonged to the same group. Again and again, evolution rewarded people who formed strong social bonds. A hunter who shared food increased the survival of the tribe. A group that worked together could defend itself more effectively. Parents, grandparents, siblings, and friends created networks of protection that allowed humans to survive environments that would have been impossible alone. Over thousands of generations, the human brain adapted to expect connection. Belonging became survival. And losing that belonging became a threat. That ancient survival system may explain something that confuses many people today. Why does rejection hurt so much? Why can being ignored feel surprisingly painful? Why does a simple social exclusion sometimes linger in the mind for days, weeks, or even years? The answer may be older than civilization itself. For our ancestors, being rejected by the group was not merely embarrassing, it was dangerous. A person expelled from the tribe lost protection, food, information, and support. In many situations, social exclusion dramatically reduced the chances of survival. The brain learned this lesson well. And even today it still reacts as if belonging matters, because it does. That is why criticism can sting, why loneliness can ache. Why rejection can feel almost physical. Deep inside the human nervous system, part of the brain still interprets social disconnection as a survival problem. Not because modern rejection is usually life-threatening, but because for most of human history it often was. If rejection is the signal, loneliness may be the alarm. Think about hunger for a moment. Hunger is unpleasant. But hunger is not the problem. It is the body's way of telling you that something important is missing. Food, thirst works the same way, pain works the same way. These uncomfortable sensations evolved to push humans toward behaviors that increase survival. Loneliness appears to work in a remarkably similar way. For most of human history, separation from other people was risky. The farther someone drifted from the group, the more vulnerable they became. So evolution created a feeling powerful enough to pull people back toward connection, loneliness, not as punishment, but as protection. In many ways, loneliness may be one of the oldest social survival systems ever developed by the human species. And once humans returned to the group, something equally important happened: friendship. Today, friendship is often viewed as a source of happiness, a pleasant addition to life. But for our ancestors, friendship was much more than that. A trusted friend meant another pair of eyes watching for danger. Another person sharing resources during difficult times. Another ally when survival became uncertain. Friendship reduced risk, it increased resilience, it made life safer. And modern science continues to find evidence that these ancient benefits still exist. People with strong social connections often experience lower stress, greater emotional stability, and improved overall well-being. Perhaps that is because friendship was never simply entertainment, it was shelter. Not physical shelter like a cave or a house, but emotional shelter. A place where fear became easier to carry. A place where uncertainty felt less overwhelming. And a reminder that humans were never meant to face the world entirely alone. The need for connection did not disappear when civilization arrived. If anything, it became woven into almost every part of modern life. Humans want to be accepted, they want to be understood, they want to feel seen. And perhaps most importantly, they want to feel that they belong somewhere. This desire appears everywhere. In families, in friendships, in schools, in workplaces, in sports teams, in religious groups. Even in online communities filled with people who may never meet face to face, the forms change. But the underlying need remains remarkably similar. Because deep inside the human brain, belonging still feels like safety. And exclusion still feels like risk. In many ways, some of the strongest human behaviors are driven by a single question: where do I fit? The desire to belong influences the clothes people wear, the opinions they express, the communities they join, and the identities they build around themselves. Part of the human mind is always searching for the tribe. Yet modern life has introduced a strange contradiction. Humans have never been more connected. And many have never felt more alone. Today, a person can communicate with thousands of people in a single day. They can send messages across continents in seconds. They can spend hours scrolling through social media, surrounded by endless interaction. Yet many still experience profound loneliness. Because connection and belonging are not always the same thing. 1,000 online interactions cannot always replace a trusted friendship. A crowded room cannot always replace feeling understood. Technology solved many problems of distance. But it did not eliminate the ancient human need for genuine connection. The brain is not simply searching for contact. It is searching for belonging. And those two things are not always found in the same place. Perhaps this helps explain something remarkable about human life. Many of the moments people remember most are not achievements, not promotions, not possessions, not status. They are moments shared with other people. A conversation that arrived at exactly the right time. A friend who stayed when life became difficult. A family gathered around a table. A hand reaching out during a moment of fear. Again and again, the experiences humans value most are rooted in connection. Because meaning often grows where relationships exist. Humans can survive alone for a while, but they rarely thrive alone. The greatest joys, the deepest memories, and the strongest sources of resilience often emerge through other people. And perhaps that is not accidental. Perhaps it is exactly what evolution prepared us for. After all, humans did not conquer the world alone, they did it together. And even today, part of the human mind is still searching for the same thing it searched for thousands of years ago: belonging, connection. A place within the tribe. The modern world may look very different from the ancient world. The campfires have become cities. The tribes have become nations. The wilderness has become civilization. But deep inside, the human brain still carries the same ancient question: do I belong here? For thousands of generations, the answer to that question shaped survival itself. And perhaps that is why loneliness feels so powerful, friendship feels so valuable, and love feels so meaningful. Because part of your mind is still sitting beside an ancient campfire, looking at the faces around it and searching for reassurance. Searching for safety, searching for connection, searching for the tribe. And maybe, more than anything else, that is what it means to be human.